The rain was coming down in sheets when I first saw her. Jersey City's autumn storms can be brutal, and this one was determined to drown. Every soul caught outside, I was leaving the convenience store, juggling my umbrella and a paper bag of necessities. When I noticed her standing there, completely drenched, need to share, I called out, surprising myself with my own boldness. She turned, and damn, those blue eyes caught me off guard. The stranger smiled, showing perfect teeth that contrasted with her. Rain-soaked blonde hair that would be amazing, she replied, hurrying under my umbrella. I'm Isabel, her shoulder brushed against mine, sending an unexpected shiver down my spine. Our bodies were close, too close for strangers, but the rain left us. No choice, Lena, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Where are you headed? The financial district? I seemed to have gotten turned around. She smelled like expensive perfume, mixed with rain, nothing like the cheap fragrances I was used to at the club. We walked in comfortable silence, our heels clicking on the wet pavement. I couldn't help but notice how she carried herself, elegant, confident, yet somehow cautious. Something about her felt different from the usual suits I encountered in my line of work. Later that night, I was finishing my makeup in the dressing room of Velvet Dreams when Trixie burst in. Hey, sugar, you've got an admirer out there. I rolled my eyes, used to the regular announcements about demanding customers, but when I stepped onto the stage, those same blue eyes from earlier caught mine. Isabel sat at a corner table nursing what looked like a martini. The recognition hit us both simultaneously. Her eyes widened slightly, and I nearly missed a beat in my routine. I've danced for hundreds of people, but something about her gaze made my skin tingle. She watched me with an intensity that was different from the usual hungry stares. There was curiosity there and something else I couldn't quite place. After my set, I found her still at her table. Small world, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. She seemed more composed now, though. I noticed her fingers tightening around her glass. I didn't expect, she started, then paused. You're very talented, funny how life works. This morning, I was your umbrella savior, and now I gestured around at the dim club lighting and pulsing music. Would you believe I'm actually here on business? Her voice carried a hint of amusement, but something in her expression made me wonder. In a strip club, let me guess, market research? I teased, watching her face carefully. She laughed, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Something like that. Would you mind showing me around? I'm considering investing in places like this. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Isabel than she was letting on. But as I led her through the club, explaining our setup, I found myself drawn to her subtle reactions, the way she noticed everything without being obvious about it. Evening ended with her slipping me her business card, sleek, minimal, with just her name and a phone number in case you ever want to grab coffee. She said, her fingers lingering against mine as I watched her leave. I had no idea that this rain-soaked encounter would turn my world upside down. Sometimes the most dangerous dances are the ones that start with a simple act of kindness. A week passed before I saw Isabel again. I was practicing my new routine when Mario, our security guy, mentioned a blonde in a designer suit asking for me. My heart did a little flip. I told myself it was just professional interest. The club was different during daylight hours. Harsh sunlight filtered through dirty windows, exposing the worn carpet and scuffed stage, but Isabel didn't seem to notice the grime. She stood by the bar looking like she'd stepped out of a business magazine, just happened to be in the neighborhood. I asked, approaching her with an exaggerated swing in my hips. Old habits die hard. Actually, I was hoping to see you perform again. Her eyes followed my movement with that same intensity from before. Your technique is fascinating. I snorted. That's a new one. Most people don't come here for technique analysis. I'm not most people. She smiled, and damn if that didn't make my stomach flutter. Would you show me some moves? The request caught me off guard. Usually private dances happened in dark corners with drunk customers. This was different. Isabel watched me with genuine curiosity as I demonstrated basic steps on the main stage. It's all about control. I explained, executing a slow spin You have to make them think they're in charge while keeping all the power yourself. Sounds familiar, she muttered so quietly. I almost missed it. I offered her my hand. Want to try? Her hesitation lasted only a second before she kicked off her heels and joined me. Teaching Isabel to dance was like playing with fire. Every touch, every correction of her posture sent electricity through my fingers. She was a quick learner, moving with natural grace. You're holding back, I whispered, standing behind her. My hands found her hips, guiding them into a slower rhythm. Let go of that control you're clinging to. She tensed, then relaxed. Against me, the music seemed to fade away as we moved together. When she turned her head, our faces were inches apart. Her breath itched, and for a moment, I thought she might kiss me instead. She stepped away, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. I should go, Isabel, wait. I caught her wrist. The contact made us both freeze. Have dinner with me. I can't. Her voice was strained. It's complicated. Life's always complicated. Doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. She studied me for a long moment, conflict clear in those blue eyes. Finally, she nodded. Tomorrow night, but not anywhere near here. That evening, during my regular performance, I spotted her in her usual corner. Something had changed between us. Each move I made felt more intimate, more dangerous. When our eyes met, the rest of the club seemed to disappear. Later in the private room, she requested a dance. The small space crackled with tension as I moved. For her, no touching was the club's golden rule, but damn if I didn't want to break a ear. She whispered as I leaned close. From anyone I've ever met, I brought my lips near her ear. Different good or different bad, I haven't decided yet. Her hands gripped the chair arms so tight her knuckles were white. That's when I kissed her, quick, soft. Barely there, breaking every rule in the book. When I pulled back, her eyes were dark with want and something that looked like fear. She left without another word, but I knew she'd be back whatever game we were playing. We were both in too deep to walk away now. As I watched her disappear into the crowd, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was dancing with danger itself. What I didn't know then was just how right that instinct would prove to be. Something wasn't right at Velvet Dreams. I'd been dancing there long enough to sense when things were off. The owner, Vincent, had been having more closed-door meetings than usual. Strange men in expensive suits would slip into his office late at night, leaving with brown paper bags. I was counting my tips after my shift when I overheard Vincent arguing with someone in the hallway. The numbers aren't adding up. A gruff voice said, we need to clean this mess up before they notice. Keep your damn voice down, Vincent hissed. I've got it under control. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding. The voices moved away, but their words stayed with me. The next night, I noticed Isabel scribbling in a small notebook while she thought no one was watching. She'd been coming to the club almost every night now, always sitting in the same corner, always watching, not just me, everything. The way her eyes tracked the movement of money, the comings and goings of Vincent's associates. I should have realized sooner. You're not really an investor, are you? I asked her during our next private dance. Her face remained carefully neutral. What makes you say that? Just a feeling. I kept dancing, maintaining the illusion. For anyone who might be watching, the way you watch everything, the notes you take when you think no one's looking. A muscle twitched in her jaw. Lena, there are things about this place you don't want to know. Try me. I moved closer, using the dance as cover. I'm not stupid, Isabel. I see things too. She hesitated, then spoke so softly I almost missed it. Be careful what you go looking for that night after closing. I stayed behind, pretending to practice. Instead, I slipped down the hallway to Vincent's office. The door was locked, but years of dancing had made me light on my feet. I pressed my ear against the wood. The feds are sniffing around. Vincent was saying, we need to move the operation. What about the girls? Another voice asked. They're replaceable. All of them. My blood ran cold. I'd always known Vincent was shady, but this felt different, dangerous. Later that night, I found Isabel waiting outside my apartment. She looked different, her somehow more serious. We need to talk, she said. I let her. And watching as she paced my small living room, I've been lying to you, She finally said, I know. I sank onto my couch. Question is about what she sat beside me close enough that our shoulders touched everything and nothing. Her hand found mine in the darkness. I'm not who you think I am, but how I feel about you, that's real. Tell me who you are then. I turned to face her, studying those beautiful, troubled eyes. I can't, she squeezed my hand, not yet. That I need you to trust me, something big is coming. And I don't want you caught in the crossfire. I'm already caught, I whispered. The truth of it hung between us. Like smoke, she reached up, touching my face with trembling fingers. I never meant for this to happen. You were supposed to be just another part of the job, and now, instead of answering, she kissed me soft and sad and full of things we couldn't say. When she pulled away, there were tears in her eyes. Whatever's coming. I said I wanted no more secrets. She shook her head. Secrets are keeping you safe. As she left, I watched her disappear into the night, knowing we were both in too deep to turn back the next day. I noticed two men in suits watching the club from across the street. The game was changing, and I had a feeling we were all just pawns on someone else's board. But PAFS can be dangerous too, especially when they have nothing left to lose the next few weeks. Blurred together in a haze of performances and stolen moments with Isabel, she'd started taking private dance lessons from me during off hours, though we both knew it was just an excuse to be alone together. You're still too rigid, I told her one afternoon, standing behind her at the practice pole. The club was empty except for a sunlight streaming through dusty windows. Dancing is about letting go. Her breath caught as I ran my hands down her arms. Letting go isn't exactly my strong suit, I've noticed. I pressed closer, guiding her hips. What are you so afraid of? She turned in my arms, those blue eyes dark with desire. This us, everything. The kiss started slow, but quickly became desperate. We'd been dancing around this moment for weeks, both afraid to cross that final line. Now, with her hands tangled in my hair and her body pressed against mine, all those careful boundaries came crashing down. Not here, she whispered against my lips. Take me home. The drive to my apartment was torture. Every red light was an opportunity for stolen kisses, each touch promising more by the time we stumbled through my door. We were both trembling with need. That night we made love like we were running out of time. Maybe we were between kisses. I memorized every inch of her, the scar on her shoulder, the freckles across her collarbone, the way she gasped my name like a prayer. Afterward, lying tangled in my sheets, she traced patterns on my skin. I've never felt like this before, she admitted softly. Like what? Like I'm losing control, like I don't care. I propped myself up on an elbow, studying her face. Is that such a bad thing? She didn't answer, just pulled me down for another kiss. We spent the rest of the night learning each other's bodies, speaking in touches and sighs. Instead of words, the next morning, I woke to an empty bed and a note. Had to go work. Emergency tonight. She came to my performance that evening, watching from her usual corner, but something was different. Her hands kept straying to her phone, checking messages. Her usual intense focus was fractured during my break. I found her in the hallway having a heated, whispered conversation. Time is running out. She was saying, we need to move now. She hung up quickly when she saw me. Everything okay? I asked. Just be business. She forced a smile. How about another lesson tomorrow? I wanted to push to demand answers about who she was really talking to instead. I nodded. Same time that lesson turned into another night at my place, and another soon. Isabel was spending more nights in my bed than out of it. We fell into a rhythm, dancing, loving, pretending the outside world didn't exist, but reality had a way of creeping in. I noticed more suits watching the club. Vincent's meetings became more frequent, more aggressive. Sometimes I'd catch Isabel watching me with such sadness it made my chest ache. Stay, I whispered one night as she got dressed to leave. Just one stay until morning. She paused, shirt half buttoned. I can't, you know. I can't. No, I don't know. I sat up, clutching the sheet to my chest. I don't know anything about you, really. She came back to the bed, kissing me softly. You know, the important parts, the real parts. But as I watched her leave again, I wondered how much of what we had was real. and how much was just another dance. The next day, everything would change. But for that moment, I let myself believe in the fantasy we'd created sometimes. The most beautiful dances are the ones that break your heart. It started with a dizzy spell during my performance. The music was pounding lights spinning, and suddenly, everything went sideways. I managed to finish my routine, but something had changed. The world seemed sharper, clearer, and oddly silent. And I looked at Vincent arguing with one of his regulars at the bar. I couldn't hear their words over the music, but I could see their lips moving, and somehow, impossibly, I knew exactly what they were saying. The shipment late. The man was mouthing, "Boss isn't happy, tell your boss to shove it." Vincent's lips formed the words clearly. "I'm handling it." I grabbed the pole to steady myself, trying to process what was happening. Was I hallucinating? But no, across the room, I could see two dancers gossiping in the corner, their lips moved. New girl skimming tips. Vincent's going to flip when he finds out this wasn't possible yet. Every time I focused on someone's mouth, their silent words became clear as day. It was like having subtitles for real life, and it was freaking me out. I fled to the dressing room, nearly colliding with Isabel. She studied me, concern. "And those blue eyes, are you okay? You look pale." I nodded, then watched in fascination as her lips formed words that matched perfectly with her voice. "No delay, no disconnect, just this new, impossible ability to read every word. I'm fine." I lied, just tired that night. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the conversations I'd inadvertently witnessed. Vincent's angry exchanges, the suspicious men in suits, Isabel's secretive phone calls. The next day, I tested my new ability everywhere. At the coffee shop, watching the baristas complain about customers on the subway, where a couple argued silently across the car. It never failed, but it was. At the club where things got interesting, I started noticing patterns in Vincent's conversations. Numbers, locations, names. That kept coming up, and most disturbing of all, references to cleaning house and loose. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was collecting my tips when I saw Isabel in Vincent's office through the partially open door. She was speaking into her phone, and her lips formed words that made my blood run cold. Target, confirmed money laundering through the club. Need backup for the raid. The world tilted again, but this time it wasn't dizziness. Isabel was working with someone, planning something, and suddenly all her careful questions, her constant presence, my serious phone calls, it all made terrible sense. That night during our private dance session, I watched her lips carefully as she spoke about innocuous things, but when she checked her phone, I saw her mouth move slightly as she read Operation Greenlight for Friday. My heart pounded as I continued to dance, maintaining my act. Isabel reached for me, and I let her pull me close, all while my mind, "Friday, something was happening. Friday, you seem distracted," she murmured against my ear. I forced a smile, "Just thinking about you." She kissed me then, and I kissed her back, tasting secrets and lies. When she left, I watched her lips move as she made another call. Outside, subject still unaware, proceeding as planned. Subject, was that me or Vincent or the whole damn club? I sat in my dressing room for a long time that night, staring at my reflection. The woman who looked back at me had changed. She could see things she was never meant to see, know things she was never meant to know. The question was, what was I going to do about it? As I left the club, I passed Vincent's office one last time through the gap in the door. I saw him clearly when the cops come sniffing the dancer goes. First, my new ability had just become a matter of survival, and suddenly I wasn't sure who to trust. The man who signed my paychecks or the woman who shared my bed, both of them were playing a dangerous game, and I was caught in the middle with my newfound power, a power that might save my life or end it. I spent 3 days watching Isabel's every move, reading her lips whenever she made calls or spoke to others at the club. Each new revelation felt like a knife in my chest. Words like operation, surveillance, and evidence kept appearing in her silent conversations. My suspicions were confirmed. On a rainy Wednesday night, I followed her after she left the club, keeping to the shadows. She drove to a nondescript building downtown where I watched through the window as she met with a room full of people in suits, her lips moved clearly in. The fluorescent light, the strip club, is just a front. We've confirmed major drug trafficking operations. Someone else spoke. Good work, Detective Walker. We move on Friday, Detective. Walker, the name, echoed in my head as I stumbled back to my car. All this time, every touch, every kiss, every whispered confession in the dark, had it all been a lie, I didn't sleep that night instead. I sat in my apartment, repping every moment with Isabel, looking for signs I should have seen, the careful questions. The mysterious phone calls, the way she watched everything at the club when she came to my performance. The next night I could barely look at her, but I had to know for sure during our private dance. I moved close, my lips near her ear. How long have you been a cop, Isabel? She froze, her entire body going rigid when she spoke. Her voice was barely a whisper. How did you? Does it matter? I stepped back, watching her face crumble. Was any of it real? Lena, please. She reached for me, but I moved away. I can explain. I've seen you talking to them, planning the raid, using me for information. Her eyes widened. That's impossible. You couldn't have. I can read lips. I cut her off. Another thing you didn't know about me. Funny how secrets work both ways. She stood, running a hand through her hair. You don't understand. This place is dangerous. Vincent is involved in things that could get people killed. And what about me? My voice cracked. Was I just part of your cover, a convenient source of information? No. She moved toward me again, and this time I let her catch my arm. Everything with you was real. I never meant to fall in love with you. The word hung between us like smoke, love. She'd never said it before. You're lying. I whispered, even as my heart betrayed me by believing her. I've lied about many things, she said, cupping my face in her hands, but never about how I feel about you. I pulled away. Save it for your report. Detective Walker. Lena, please let me protect you when this all goes down. Protect me? I laughed bitterly. Like you protected me by using me, by making me fall in love with a lie. Her face crumpled at that real pain showing through her professional mask. You're not just part of the job. You never were. Get out. I turned away, unable to look at her anymore. Just get out. She hesitated, then moved to the door. Whatever you think of me, please be careful. Stay away from the club. On Friday, after she left, I sank to the floor, my whole body shaking through my tears. I could see my reflection in the mirror, a woman who'd been played for a fool, but worse than that, a woman who was still in love with the person who'd betrayed her outside the private room. I could see Vincent's lips moving as he talked on his phone. We need to clean house before Friday start with the dancers. I was trapped between two dangerous truths, with nowhere left to run, and the woman I loved was the one who'd put me there. The club felt different after my confrontation with Isabel. Everything I'd once found familiar now seemed threatening. Vincent had doubled security, adding mean-looking guys who watched us dancers like hawks. I kept dancing, pretending nothing was wrong, but my new ability let me see the danger closing in. During a private dance, I read the lips of two guards outside Boss, once the blonde cop's girlfriend, handled first. My heart nearly stopped. They knew about Isabel. Worse, they knew about me. That night, I watched Vincent meet with his inner circle. In his office, their lips told a story that chilled me to the bone. Police raid coming, clean everything out now. Witnesses start with the dancers who know too much. One of them pointed at my photo on the wall. Vincent nodded. I slipped away before they could spot me, mind racing. Isabel hadn't been lying about the danger, but her investigation had put a target on my back. I needed to get out, but where could I go? The answer came in the form of a text from an unknown number. Your apartment isn't safe. Get out now. I barely had time to grab my emergency cash and some clothes before I saw two of Vincent's men entering my building through my window. I could read their lips as they spoke into phones, moving in to secure the target, the fire escape. It never looked so inviting. I was 3 stories down when I heard them break into my apartment. Their shouts followed me into the night, but years of dancing had made me quick and quiet. I ended up in a 24-hour diner, hands shaking around a coffee cup. When Isabel slid into the booth across from me, she looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. They're going to kill me, aren't they? I asked before she could speak. She didn't bother denying it. I'm so sorry, Lena. This is all my fault here. Damn right it is, but my anger felt hollow now, overshadowed by fear. My superiors want me to pull out, she said, watching my face carefully. They say the operation is compromised. I read her lips as she muttered under her breath, but I won't leave you. What about your case? I asked, surprised by her dedication despite everything. Some things matter more. She reached across the table, but stopped short of touching me. Let me help. You disappear for a while. Before I could answer, I saw movement outside. The diner window, two of Vincent's men scanning the street. Their lips moved. She's around here. Somewhere Isabel saw them too, without a word. She led me through the diner's kitchen and out the back door. We ran through rain. Slicked Allie's my hand, tight in hers until we reached her car. I know a safe place, she said as we sped through the empty streets. But you'll have to trust me. I don't have much choice, do I? She glanced at me, pain evident in her eyes. There's always a choice. Lena at a red light. I saw her lips move in silent prayer. Please let me keep her safe. The safe house was a small apartment across town. As Isabel secured the locks, I watched her lips form words into her phone asset secured, requesting immediate protection. Detail asset, I said bitterly. Is that what I am now? She turned to me, eyes fierce. No, you're the woman I love, and I'm not letting anything happen to you before I could respond. Her phone buzzed. The message made her face pale, reading her lips as she processed it. I saw why Vincent found the wire. Moving timeline upgrade. Starts in 2 hours outside. Thunder rolled across the sky as if nature itself was warning us of what was coming. We were running out of time, and I had a feeling the worst was yet to come. The woman I loved was a cop. The man I worked for wanted me dead, and somewhere in between. I had to find a way to survive the night. Isabel paced the safe house like a caged tiger, making calls and checking windows. I sat on the worn couch watching her lips move as she argued with her superiors. I'm not leaving her exposed. No, you listen, she's involved now, whether we like it or not. The rain outside had turned into a storm, matching the tension in the room. Every flash of lightning made me jump, expecting Vincent's men to burst through the windows. They're moving up the raid, Isabel said, finally sitting beside me, but I'm going off book. I won't let them use you as bait. I studied her face in the dim light. Despite everything, my heart still skipped when she looked at me that way. What's your plan? Get you somewhere safe? Then finish this. She reached for my hand, and this time I let her take it. I'm already involved. I said, let me help. She started to protest, but I pressed a finger to her lips. I can read their conversations, Isabel. I can be your eyes inside. The conflict played across her face. Finally, she nodded, but you stay close to me. No heroics. We spent the next hour planning. Isabel made more calls, and I watched, her lips carefully gathering until the raid would hit multiple locations. Vincent was moving his operation tonight. Your lip reading, she said suddenly. When did it start? A few days ago. After that dizzy spell during my performance. She looked thoughtful. Maybe it's stress-induced or your brain adapting to survive. Does it matter? I moved closer to her. It's helping us now. The tension between us shifted, became something else. Despite everything, the betrayal, the danger, the uncertain future, the pull was still there. She touched my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. I never meant for any of this to happen. I know, and I did now finally, but it happened anyway. The kiss was different from our others, desperate, seeking forgiveness and offering it. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet. I love you, she whispered. Whatever happens tonight, no, that's real. I answered by kissing her again. We made love there in the safe house, quick and quiet, both aware of the danger, but unable to resist this moment of connection. After, as we dressed, Isabel's phone buzzed. She read the message, and I read her lips as she processed it. Vincent's men, moving suspicious cargo, all units on standby, time to go, she said, checking her weapon. I grabbed her arm. Promise Me something, anything, promise you'll make it through this, both of us. She kissed me one last time. Both of us, she agreed. We slipped out into the rain, moving through back alleys toward the club. Isabel had given me a wire and basic instructions. My job was to get inside, gather intel, and get out before the raid started. If anything feels wrong, you abort, she insisted. Your safety matters more than the case. I watched her lips move as she spoke to her team over the radio asset in position. Stand by for intel, the club loomed ahead, neon signs. Reflecting off the wet pavement, music thumped through the walls, covering the sound of the storm. Through the windows, I could see Vince and his office, lips moving quickly as he shouted orders. Isabel squeezed my hand one last time. Ready? I nodded, heart pounding. We were really doing this, taking down Vincent's operation, risking everything, but looking at Isabel, I knew I'd made the right choice. Sometimes the most dangerous dance is the one that leads you home. As I walked toward the club's entrance, I silently prayed we'd both survive to see the morning. The game was about to change, and there would be no going back. Mario barely glanced at me as I entered the club, just another dancer arriving for her shift, but everything felt different now. The wire under my costume itched. Isabel's instructions echoed in my head. Get the information. Then get out. The dressing room was empty. Most girls had already left, sensing the tension in the air. I touched up my makeup, watching the hallway's reflection in the mirror. Vincent's office door opened, and I focused on the lips of men leaving the room. Shipment moves at midnight. Back entrance, no witnesses. I pretended to adjust my costume while memorizing faces. My heart nearly stopped when I recognized one of them, a regular customer who always tipped well. No. I knew why. The music pounded as I stepped onto the stage. My usual routine felt mechanical as I scanned the crowd, reading lips. Through the flashing lights, bits and pieces of conversations formed a dangerous puzzle. Cops closing in clean, the books tie up loose ends. I caught sight of Vincent by the bar, speaking urgently into his phone. His lips moved. Clearly, kill the cops. Girlfriend, after the shipment moves, make it look like an accident. My blood ran cold, but I kept dancing. The wire had to be picking up the ambient conversations. Isabel and her team needed this intel between sets. I slipped toward the back office, my new ability proving invaluable. 2 guards discussed shift changes, unknowingly revealing the gaps in security. I memorized the timing, passing it all to Isabel through careful whispers into the wire. That's when I saw them bringing in the guns. Through the storage room's open door, I watched men unpacking crates, not just small arms. These were military-grade weapons. My hands shook as I relayed this to Isabel. Get out now. Her voice crackled through my earpiece. We've got enough, but I couldn't move through the door. I could see Vincent inspecting the weapons, his lips moving. Once we move these, we torch the place. Insurance will cover our losses. They were going to burn down the club with everyone inside. I backed away, slowly, but bumped into something solid, someone turning. I found myself face to face with Mario, his expression. Grim boss wants to see you, he said, gripping my arm. I was marched to Vincent's office. My mind racing. The wire felt like it was burning against my skin. Had they found it? Did they know? Vincent looked up as we entered, his smile never reaching his eyes. Lena, my star dancer, we need to talk about loyalty. I forced myself to stay calm, watching his lips for any clue of what he knew. He moved behind me, and suddenly I felt his hands on my shoulders. You see, someone's been talking to the cops. His fingers found the wire. Everything happened at once. I drove my elbow back into his stomach. Years of self-defense classes kicking in. Mario lunged for me, but I was already moving. My dancer's agility saving me. I slammed through the office door as gunshots erupted. The music covered the sound, but panic spread through the club. People screamed, running for exits. She's wearing a wire. Vincent's voice carried over the chaos. Find her. I ran toward the dressing room, knowing I needed to get to the back exit. Behind me, I could read the lips of Vincent's men, coordinating their search. The fire alarm suddenly blared. Isabel's signal. The raid was starting through the dressing room window. I saw police vehicles converging on the club, but I also saw Vincent's men moving the weapons, using the chaos as cover. I had a choice: escape through the window to safety or follow them and help Isabel stop the weapons from disappearing into the night. Safety lost. I slipped out the door, following the men carrying crates. My ability to read lips meant I could stay just far enough behind to track their movements without being seen. Load faster one mouth to another. Cops will be busy with the front. They were right. The raid was focused on the club's main entrance, but they didn't know about the backup team. Isabel had positioned around the block. I pressed the signal button she'd given me 3 times our code for target located. The night wasn't over yet, and I wasn't done dancing with danger. The raid hit like a tidal wave. Police cars screamed into the parking lot, lights painting the rain-slicked streets in red and blue. I stayed hidden behind a dumpster, watching Vincent's men loading the last of the weapons into unmarked vans. Using my newfound ability, I read their panic conversations. 2 minutes, south exit, burn the evidence. I relayed everything through the wire, knowing Isabel's team was listening. The raid team had breached the club's main entrance, but the real action was happening here in the back alley. Sirens wailed closer through the chaos. I spotted Isabel leading a tactical team around the building's corner. Our eyes met briefly, hers filled with both relief and worry. The shooting started without warning. Vincent's men had spotted the approaching officers. I pressed myself against the cold brick wall as bullets sparked off metal and concrete. Drop your weapons. Isabel's voice carried over the gunfire. You're surrounded. I watched her lips move as she coordinated with her team, directing them to cut off escape routes. She was magnificent in her element, confident and commanding. Through the firefight, I saw Vincent slipping away through a side door. His lips moved as he spoke into a phone. Burn it all now. The explosion rocked the building before I could warn anyone. Flames erupted from the club's windows. Orange light reflecting off the rain. Screams filled the air as the remaining patrons fled into the street. Isabella screamed, seeing her team momentarily distracted by the blast. Vincent was getting away without thinking. I ran after him. Years of dancing had made me fast and silent. I followed him down the service alley, staying just far enough behind to read his lips as he argued on his phone. Meeting point compromised. New location. Bring everything. He was heading for a secondary escape route. I had to stop him, or at least slow him down. The heel of my dance shoe caught a metal grate, giving me an idea. I pulled it off and threw it hard, hitting him square in the back. He stumbled, foam clattering away. Vincent spun around, eyes widening when he saw me. You, he snarled, reaching for his waistband. I didn't give him the chance. I threw my other shoe, then tackled him with everything we went down hard on the wet pavement. You ruined everything. He spat, trying to throw me off. You were going to kill me anyway. I shot back, fighting to keep him down. We struggled in the rain, neither gaining the upper hand. Then suddenly, blessed words. Freeze, police. Isabel stood at the alley's entrance, weapon trained on Vincent. Her backup team swarmed in, securing him roughly as they read him his rights. I watched Vincent's lips move in defeat. I want my lawyer. Isabel pulled me into a fierce embrace once he was cuffed. Damn it. Lena, you were supposed to stay safe. I couldn't let him get away. I touched her face, wiping away rain or tears, or both not. After everything the club burned behind us, years of corruption going up in flames, but something new was rising from the ashes, something real. I testified against Vincent. The following week, my lip reading ability helped fill in gaps in the investigation, connecting pieces of evidence the police hadn't even known to look for. The prosecutor's lips moved with satisfaction as the judge denied bail. Flight risk danger to witnesses. Isabel squeezed my hand under the table when the hearing ended. She led me outside into the sunshine. You're incredibly brave, she said, pulling me close, and incredibly reckless. Sounds like someone else. I know. I smiled against her lips as she kissed me. We had both lost something in the fire, my job, her undercover role, but we'd gained something far more valuable: truth, trust, and a love forged in flames. The dance wasn't over, it was just beginning 3 months after the raid. I stood in front of an empty storefront in downtown Jersey City. The real estate agent handed me the keys with a smile perfect for a dance studio she said the previous tenant left the mirrors. I turned to Isabel, who was pretending not to watch. My reaction, what do you think? I think you already know. She smiled, squeezing my hand. You've been talking about teaching legitimate dance classes for years. The space was nothing like Velvet Dreams, all natural light and high ceilings instead of neon and shadows, but it felt right after my testimony helped put Vincent away for 20 years. I received a substantial reward from the FBI's asset forfeiture program. Enough to start over, Isabel had said when I got the check to build something real. She had made her own changes after the raid. She turned down a promotion that would have taken her undercover again instead. She opened her own private investigation firm, specializing in corporate fraud. No more lies, she promised, no more secrets. As I explored the empty studio, I could already see it filled with students, real dancers, learning real art. My lip reading ability hadn't faded, but I'd learned to control it, to turn it off when I wanted privacy. There's something else, Isabel said. Pulling me from my thoughts, she looked nervous, which was rare for her. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. She took both my hands in hers. I've been thinking about permanence lately. I watched her lips move, sensing something important coming. My heart started racing. The thing is, she continued, I don't want any more temporary arrangements, no more safe houses or undercover roles or waiting for the other shoe to drop. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small box. My breath caught. I want to build something lasting, she said, opening the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring with you. Tears blurred my vision, but I could still read her lips as she spoke the words. Will you marry me? The answer was easy. It had always been easy from that first rainy day when she shared my umbrella. Yes, I whispered, then louder, yes. She slipped the ring onto my finger with shaking hands when she kissed me. I tasted joy and promise and future later. That evening we celebrated at our favorite diner, the same one where she'd helped me escape. Vincent's men, as we shared coffee and pie. I watched people around us, their silent conversations. Now just background noise, still reading lips, Isabel asked, noticing my attention drift sometimes. I smiled, but right now, I'm just happy to be here with you. She reached across the table, touching my ring. No regrets about leaving the club life behind. None. I intertwined our fingers, though I might miss the outfits. Her eyes sparkled. I'm sure we can work something out. Private shows only. We laughed together, free and light, through the diner window. I could see Jersey City sparkling in the twilight. My new studio would open next month. Isabel's pie firm was thriving. We're building something real, something lasting. What are you thinking about? She asked. I watched her lips form the question, remembering all the secrets they'd once held now. They spoke only truth, only love. I'm thinking about dances, I said, the dangerous ones that lead us where we need to go, the beautiful ones that bring us home. She smiled, understanding we'd both stopped dancing with shadows. Now we moved in sunlight and truth. And love, sometimes the most important dance is the one that brings you full circle back to yourself, back to what matters, back to the person who sees you exactly as you are. And that's a dance worth keeping.